We will see you in Gdansk, ladies and gentlemen. United have made it through to the Europa League final, losing 3-2 on the night, but going through 8-5 on aggregate in the end. What can you say, really? Obviously, all the work was done in the first leg. There was a little bit of me, about on the 60th minute when they scored that second goal, when Cristante rocketed that shot into the back of the net to make it 2-1. A bit of me was thinking, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. Surely this isn't going to happen now. And it didn't in the end, to be fair, it didn't. But that was partly due to the heroics of one certain Uruguayan number 9 who has been unbelievable in the Europa League this season. That was his 7th goal in 6 games in all competitions. And Edinson Cavani, what a player he is, and what a player he has been this season for us, scoring clutch goals. The amount of times he scored goals in big performances as well, in big games. He is a big game player, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see more of him in the Europa League final, potentially scoring the winner in that one. That's what I'm thinking. I feel like a winner is coming in the Europa League final for Edinson Cavani, because that's the sort of player he is, in and around the box. There's no other player I'd want a ball to fall to than that man right now. The form he's on is absolutely incredible, and we need to keep him wrapped up in cotton wool going into that final. I swear, if he gets injured between now and then, I'll be devastated, absolutely devastated. But all in all, not the most professional performance, especially in that second half, but we got the job done in the end. Tom, my man, how you doing? Thanks for joining, mate, appreciate it. He says, if you want, I can come on your show. I'll get people on, mate, I'll get people on. As I said, it won't be that long of a show. Usually I'll go for about an hour, but I've got some stuff on, as I said, in the preview, so I'll get you on, no problem at all. It's been a while, but always welcome you on, Tom. But yeah, just an amazing feeling, absolutely amazing feeling to actually get to a final, to get through a semi-final. I've forgotten what it felt like. To go through to a final of not only European competition, but any competition. I've forgotten what it felt like, but it feels damn good. And I hope this feeling continues throughout the next few seasons and under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But we've still got a step to go. We've still got that one step to go. Graham as well, thanks for joining. Of course, the famous chant, what a performance he had today. Virtuoso performance from Edinson Cavani and De Gea masterclass. He was probably another candidate for man of the match. Some of the saves he pulled off. 17-18 De Gea showed up today. 17-18 De Gea showed up. It wasn't 19-20 De Gea, it was 17-18 De Gea. Some of the saves he made were unbelievable. Some of them were a bit lucky, to be fair, but a lot of them were unbelievable, and it was good that he was turned up, because if he didn't, we could be talking in very different circumstances right now. Graham says De Gea man of the match. I think, I wouldn't be, I couldn't disagree with that. Yes, Cavani scored the 2 goals and ultimately, meant that it was completely out of reach to Roma on the night. But De Gea made some very, very important saves. But yeah, I'll put the link in the live chat because, as I said, I'm not going to be live for a huge amount of time. But I'll put the link in the live chat so anyone who wants to come on can have their say. Of course, a massive, massive day. Probably the biggest game in our season this season, but now of course we've got an even bigger game to look forward to. May the 26th in Gdansk against Villereal. Arsenal couldn't get the job done, and a part of me is a bit thankful that we're not playing Arsenal, I'm going to be honest, especially with our record against them. But Villarreal's going to be a test, and playing against Unai Emery in a Europa League final, it's going to be tricky. I'm not going to lie, it's going to be tricky. He's won it 3 times. I think he won it 3 times in a row with Sevilla. That guy knows how to win the tournament. So, even though people always clown him and say he's a shit manager or whatever, he knows how to win the Europa League. Don't get it twisted. He knows how to win this competition. So, all I'm going to say is it's not going to be easy in that final. It really isn't. Matthew says, De Gea had the shit Owen was shouting. Yeah, of course. It seemed like that. I'm not going to lie. It did seem like that. The way he performed was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, some of the saves you'd expect him to make, but some of the other saves were all about his positioning. All about reflexes. And, as I said, 17-18 De Gea showed up. I can't even think what we'd be talking about now if 19-20 De Gea showed up. You know what I mean? But, yeah, just so glad he put in a really good performance. The second half performance, obviously we can talk a little bit about that, but I don't think it was the best performance we'll ever see. But but I'm not. Obviously, we did change a lot of the personnel and stuff, so that's obviously going to be have an impact on that. But we'll bring Graham in. Graham, absolutely fantastic to be talking to you under these circumstances. United are in a Europa League final, their first final since 2017, first Europa League final since 2017, their first final since, it might have been 2017 actually, or no, obviously the FA Cup final the season after that. So we haven't been in many finals recently. The first final under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, how does that feel?
It feels bloody amazing, Kieran, because it's the number 7 curse of Cavani is broken, plus the semi-final curse broken all in one night. So absolutely buzzing that that's happened. And we really didn't play maybe a game that we would like to see, but the game was done in the first leg. So yeah, we just had to go out and finish the job. And I'm glad that a couple of our players got rested too. Like Shaw was given the rest, Van Bissaka was given the rest. Obviously, that came at a price because Tellez was at utter crap today. I have to say that all the 3 goals came down his side. And he kept tucking into Maguire. So if that's one negative from the night, that's all that we're going to take. But only positives from here, and hopefully we win the final in Gdansk.
Yeah, hope so. Obviously, we'll be facing Villereal in the final after Arsenal. Well, they bowled it, really. They only need to win 1-0. They had 1 shot on target in the whole 90 minutes. They absolutely collapsed in that game. But we're going to be facing a tricky customer in Villereal, who obviously have a manager in Unai Emery, who've won the Europa League 3 times before, with Sevilla, of course. But before we get to the final, I want to get your thoughts on one man in particular, Edinson Cavani. What a performance he put in today, and over the 2 legs as well. Scoring 5 goals, I think, over the 2 legs. A fantastic performance by him. What were your thoughts overall?
Where do I start? Just magnificent from Cavani. He's an outright number 9, and his movement is just out of this world because it's something that we've been missing all this time. And finally, we have someone in Cavani, and I think Martial will have it really hard to get into the team once he's fit. But if we have Cavani, I think I wish we had him for more time than what we have him for. But if he can go on for maybe another year, 2 years, I don't think so. But yeah, I wish we had this guy for longer because he's all that we would want in a number 9. What a player, man! What a player! Magnifique.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt, mate, no doubt. Listen, Cavani, he's just one of those strikers that we have been missing for a long time, as you said. We haven't had someone who's like a natural number 9. Obviously, Rashford, Martial, and Greenwood have all kind of filled in there. I think out of those 3, I think Greenwood's probably the most natural, but we haven't had a striker like Cavani in ages. And when we first brought him in, I thought it was going to be like Falcao. I really did. I thought he might score a few goals, but it'd just be a bit of a flash in the pan. But I never thought we'd see the sort of performances we've seen from him. So it's amazing. And as I said, I'm predicting he's going to score in the final. I just feel like he's a big game player. He's going to come up with a goal in the final. He also loves a goal against Roma anyway. I think in the Serie A he absolutely dominated Roma, so he loves a goal against them anyway, but scored some brilliant goals over this tie. Ethan, obviously Liverpool fans, join us. Thanks for joining, Ethan, appreciate it. I don't think that's going to be the popular opinion on the channel, but I mean, it's your opinion. And as I said, I doubt that. I absolutely doubt that. I doubt that. Seriously doubt that Cavani won't score, trust me. I mean, if he's in the sort of form he's in right now, stick a bet on it now, he's gonna score in the final, trust me. But anyway, more about the game. Obviously, we spoke about how in the second half we fell apart a little bit. Ollie made the 2 changes at half-time, Tellez and Brandon Williams coming on. You mentioned a bit about what you thought about Tellez, but overall, what did you thought about the 2 fullbacks? Obviously, they haven't had much football recently, and maybe that's a factor. But do you think that subbing those 2 guys on had a massive impact on tonight's result? And why do you think it kind of started to go wrong a little bit in that second half?
Yeah, spot on. Like you said, it's down to Ole. Also, he's not rotated the team as much as we would like him to. And you got to say, Williams and Tellez were very, very rusty. Also, Pogba didn't have a particularly good game, so midfield was lost. He wasn't playing in the advanced position we would see him normally playing on the left wing. He was dropping into the CDM role again alongside Fred. So that's another reason we were not dominating that midfield, and they were able to bypass and play through the left on the left side. Um, yeah, but I would put it down to the mistakes by Tellers. I was just astonished that he was just leaving the left flank open, and he was not tracking back at all. So, and at times when he was at the back, he was tucking into Maguire and leaving a lot of space on the left. So that's it happens. I mean, here Ole had to rest his players. There are three. We were going to play 4 games in the space of 8 days, so he had to do what he had to do. And it came at a cost. We conceded 3. It could have been much worse if De Gea hadn't to make all those 10 saves. 10 saves. I was like shocked that was bad at the end. But yeah, it's his third highest game that he's made those amount of saves. So yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
Yeah, I know. I'll tell you what. Yeah, when they scored those 2 goals, I was just, and both of them came down to Tellez' mistakes. I think one of them was a cross that Tellez just didn't close down. The other one, he kind of let it go over his head, and I think the third one went in off Tellez. I mean, he had a shocking game overall. But we're gonna bring Tom in. Tom, great to have you on, mate. Always good to have you on. And obviously, you witnessed that match tonight. We're in the Europa League final. The first time since 2017. First time we're in a final under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We've finally broken that semi-final hoodoo. What are your thoughts?
Well, you can't really say much else, really. When you think about it, what really is there left to play for this season, really? Second, we're pretty much, we're nailed on top 4. It doesn't really matter. I don't think anybody would care if we finish anywhere between 2nd or 4th, really, because you're just going to get the Champions League anyway, so it's not really going to matter that. We're not going to win the league unless City magically bottle it soon, so that's not going to happen. And I couldn't see this team consistently winning week in, week out anyway. But like we've said, getting to say a final and stuff, now we can really see, if Ole has got the bottle. A lot of people have said about a semi-final and the pressure of that. Now there's the opportunity. You're 90 minutes away from lifting that bit of silverware, and I think that is something that I think a lot of clubs probably in England and stuff would use to kick on for. The Europa League would be a good statement, really, and I would brand it as a bit of a sponsorship towards making that next progression, that next step towards winning something much bigger. Because a lot of people can say, well, the Europa League's just a cheap version of the Champions League. Yeah, albeit it might be that. However, it's still a European trophy at the end of the day. It's there to be won. And if you want to know, a major success story, go and watch Sevilla and how many times they've won this tournament. And if Sevilla were probably in it right now, we'd probably be playing them in the final. Like we got stuck when we played them in the semi-final last year, but we've gone a step further this year. And Roma are no Barcelona or Real Madrid. We can categorise that, but you'd probably say Real Madrid have some players who might be good squad players for Man United, might be good players who you would say maybe in a couple of years' time you might look at that player, after they've developed for a little bit. Smalling wasn't a bad player. Smalling wouldn't be a bad player to have on the bench if Eric Bailly couldn't play. Smalling would have probably played for us tonight, so it wouldn't have really mattered. But performance-wise, I didn't think it was, until about half-time, I think we were all right, to be honest with you. But when we got, cut open with those, 3 goals, it was ridiculous with Tellez and stuff. But what do you expect when players haven't played for a while? Tellez, you can say, well, there's a reason for that because Luke Shaw's been exceptional. So you can't. He's probably one of the players who you can't drop out of the team at the moment. You'd say this. People criticise Van der Beek. What has the kid really done wrong? He can't get any minutes. He can get 2 or 3 minutes at the end of the game. What would you expect him to do? Give Lionel Messi or anybody in the prime that much time, they'd probably do nothing as well. So, but like you were just saying, where you were praising Cavani and stuff. I came on this, I come on your show when I think it was deadline day in the summer when you did a show, and a lot of people ripped me off and said, "Well, Cavani, you're paying £10 million for somebody who gets injured half the season, and at the end of it all, he'll probably be 34 and do nothing for us." I don't hear a lot of people saying that now, to be honest with you. When pretty much you can see nobody can compare him and Martial anymore. I don't want to hear the comparisons about who's the better striker, because any young player who looks to model their game around, I wouldn't say an old school striker, but the complete striker, Cavani's probably a replica to do it, because he's got it all. He can score from either feet, heading's brilliant, move. Like a lot of people have said, even rival people have said, Cavani's probably one of the best mobile players in the world. And, it's not just... But the problem is, we needed to buy him 5-6 years ago, then you'd have been sorted for 5 or 6 years, and when you look at a lot of the modern day squads now, obviously City have basically said goodbye to Aguero and stuff. Cavani, if you can keep him fit, like you said, if we can keep him fit for the final, then Villereal, pardon my language, but I think Villereal are going to be shitting the sand, to be honest with you. trying to keep the movement which diagonal way he'll go and anything. But really, with the squad tonight, I do think it was a little bit overstretched considering the scoreline that we already had going into it. I think bringing players like Van der Beek and stuff was a good idea, but you could have probably left, say, Pogba or Fernandes out and played someone like a Matic or somebody like that, to be honest with you. Yeah. It wouldn't have really made much difference. Matic would help you control the game better than Pogba would, and that's what Ole said before the game. He wanted to put a team out there to control and dictate the game. Well, Matic would do that more so than Pogba. Pogba's more of a flair player who'll give you something a bit different. But when you've got Fernandes and Pogba both on the same field, it's if you're going to stop one of them, you're not going to stop the other one, and that's pretty much the golden ticket for Man United right now. And I think when you're looking at stuff like going on at the end of the season and winning, this bit of silverware that you can get and getting the top 4 again, you'd have to say it is a successful season, because I think anybody would have, jumped at the chance of something like this. And Europa League is, we said it last year, really. Well, we were in the same predicament last year because we were saying the same thing. All we needed to get that, get to that final and get that opportunity to win something, and we got to 3 last year and 3 semi-finals, and it didn't pan out. Albeit we got the top 4 in the end, but you can see the progression is there, because we finished 3rd last year. We're probably going to finish 2nd this year, so that's the progression there. You can say the same thing if he goes in and wins this trophy, but he won't have that clout over his name anymore. So it was a nearly man. It was a nearly manager. Exactly. There would never be that ever again, and I don't think a lot of fans would be able to criticise him. And winning something like the Europa League would entice players like Pogba to second guess and think, well, if I go back to Juventus, what are Juventus really doing at the moment? Nothing, and they've just crapped out. They've just crapped out of the Serie A, which is really their bread and butter. When I'm at Man United here, and we're obviously developing and going places because we've improved from when Mourinho left, and Ole manages to play. Ole's no Pep Guardiola. Let's be real. He's no Pep Guardiola, but his man management is second to none. And he's probably, that's what gets him through his job, and that's probably what's kept him his job for all this time when people have been saying that he wanted him to be sacked. I was a person who said that at one point. I remember when it was, can't remember what game it was. It was some point last season. I think it was one of the semi-finals with De Gea. Yeah, it was. It was a Chelsea game, and I come in there and I said the same thing. I said, "What is he doing?" Because you make all these different changes going into games, and it's ridiculous when you make all the changes, but. Tonight it didn't really play pivotal, but yeah, I don't really see the point in the last couple of games of the season. To be honest with you, we're not going to drop out of the top 4. I know it's mathematically possible that we can do, but you can't really see it happening. And yeah, to kick on for next season to mount that title challenge would be a good start by winning a trophy. To be honest with you, and then you can look at such as Cavani and stuff, and try and lure these players into signing contracts and stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. And obviously, this has to be a catalyst, really. Obviously, we haven't won anything yet, and Villereal are going to put up a decent opposition, I reckon, probably better than Roma at least. But it'd be massive if we did win it. It'd be absolutely massive. A few people want to welcome. A few people have joined us. Thanks for joining, RJ. Appreciate it. He's obviously hyped after that. Let's go, he says. Let's go. I mean, it's a massive win. Massive win. Make sure to check out his channel. Great stuff over there as well. And also make sure to check out Let's Talk Premier League. Brilliant stuff over there. Trans MEFC, how are you doing as well? He says, what's up, bro? How you been? I've been good, mate. I've been good. First final under Ollie. Feeling all right at the moment, although I still have my doubts in winning it all, given this result today. Plus, we're facing a well-known winner. That's true. As I said, Unai Emery knows how to win it. It's going to be a very interesting final. He also says, should Ollie win the final, it will turn the result of the whole season a little bit better. Qualify for Champions League already, given our league position. Europa League win, quarters of the FA Cup. It shows progression somewhat. I'll ask you guys about that in just a second, actually. And Ashley's joined us as well. Thank you for joining, Ashley. Appreciate it. And he's just reiterated what we've said. Cavani is just special. 2 goals. Brilliant 2 goals. And adding on his hat-trick in the first game as well. He's a sensational player, sensational striker, even at the age he is as well. But the thing is, the mad thing about Cavani is he's like 35? Like he's still 34. Going to be 35 this year. He's still he's a Rolls Royce of a player. But I'll come back to you, Graham, on this one. Should Ollie win the final win the final, and probably we're going to be favourites going into the final. Do you think it's been a good season for Manchester United?
It has been a sign of progression under Ole this season. In some ways that we've at least in Europe, if we've not done well in the Champions League, we've at least progressed in the Europa. We've come to the final, but in the FA Cup we did drop out. Carabao we did drop out, but still, the league we've shown progression there too. We've closed the gap to City, and obviously Liverpool has had a shocker season. But yeah, it's definite signs of progression. We just need to kick on from there now. And also on Villereal, the last 4 meetings I think we played with them, it's been a 0-0 draw. So it's going to be a really tight game. I don't think it's going to be as free-scoring, but I think we need to just wrap Cavani in a cotton wool and keep him for the next 4 games, and just not play him as much as possible.
Well, we've got nothing to play for in the Premier League anyway. So what's really the point? You might as well rest your major players.
Yeah, but he might play him for the games like Liverpool and stuff like that. So you really need to not take those risks and just keep him as fresh as possible, but at the same time give him game time. So, but Cavani, being Cavani, he doesn't need game time. He just comes on and he's his normal self. He's been injured the last time and he came on, and he was just on fire. I do think that's down to Bruno at the back, supplying him every now and then, and Pogba's form on the left. I do think that also Pogba can't play in the CDM role anymore. We need to be playing him on the left wing. It just can't happen. He's just lost when he plays in the CDM role. It's no more his position. Either play. I think Ole has to just shift. Next season we can't see Pogba playing that deep. We need to shift. Either play Donny van de Beek there, or partnering McTominay, or
just go by
come
CDM.
up with something better, or buy a CDM, exactly, or buy a CDM.
Yeah.
But we
buy a CDM
cannot
and
keep
just
them.
say sorry
Exactly.
to Fred, and then you can play Pogba and Fernandes further up the field
Fred,
and give him free roles.
But Fred is a good player also. He does well in games, but then we can't bank on him that much. We can't bank on him to win us a title per se. So he's not that kind
His
of player.
first touch is dreadful at times.
Exactly.
We can't really say it. His first touch is dreadful.
Yeah.
You look at players like Fernandinho, and then you look at Fred. They just don't compare in the slightest.
So if we are looking exactly, so if we are looking to close that gap to first place, we are looking to be title challengers. I think we need a CDM and we need a centre back, and obviously maybe a left back or a right back.
Yeah, I think oh yeah, Sancho, of course, yeah. We'll get into that, I'm sure, but yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where we definitely need to strengthen a few areas, and Mo's joined us as well. He's saying shocking defending. In the second half, yeah, especially when we replaced Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka, some of the defending was really, really poor. Ashley said, just wait until Cavani scores in front of 75,000 fans. Yeah, that'll be electric. Imagine if we did what he did against Roma in the first leg with fans in the ground. That would have been unreal. And Tran says it should be classified as a good season, not a great season, but a good season. You have other factors that hinder our season, for example, the fact that we're miles behind City in the league when they were behind. Our direct rivals potentially winning their first Champions League, and the fact we had to rely on others to potentially stop our rivals from winning major honours. I mean, yeah, there have been some down points of the season, mostly at the start of the season, to be fair. But at the end of the day, I think in my opinion, if we win the Europa League and come in the top four, after that Spurs game, there's no way I thought we were going to do that. So, I mean, I have to rate it as a decent season. Ashley says, I only rate Fred when he plays alongside McSauce. I mean, yeah, I want to ask you, Graham. Obviously, Tom's just gone away for a second, but I'll come back to you, Graham. In terms of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer tonight, now obviously we've rated some of the players, but how do you think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer managed the game tonight? Obviously, he started a pretty strong lineup, and then took players off towards the end. Rashford came on as a sub, which I thought was a little bit of a weird one, considering I kind of thought he was injured, but Ole obviously gave him a few minutes. Overall, how would you rate Ole's managing of that game?
Overall, I would give him a 5, I guess, at best, because I think he did some parts right in resting players, because we need the players for the upcoming games in the Premier League, like the four games in 8 days. We need players rested for that, and plus, and the downside of it is that he brought on he played Pogba in the wrong position first of all. And he brought on Rashford when he's carrying an injury. We just needed to keep Rashford on the bench today and not let him have any minutes, because he's been playing through that the back injury and his ankle injury, and we can't keep on doing that to that kid. He wants to play naturally, but we can't keep doing it. And also, I think Tellers and Williams, he really didn't have a choice, but it came back to bite him in the ass. So. But I think choosing De Gea was a good choice. He made a good decision there, and he just needs to learn. I think he just needs to learn next season from this. Rotate the squad more. Give during the season, don't burn out your same starting 11. Rotate it more. Give Tellers and the guys more playing time, and I think he'll line itself out, and obviously get more signings and. Should be good to go then.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen progression from Ole this season in terms of his management style. I think especially when he first took over, obviously we had that new manager bounce, but towards the end of that first season, he kind of took over from Mourinho. There were signs that it wasn't going that well, and I think his lack of experience came into play. But I think he is learning on the job a little bit. But I actually don't mind that, because as long as you do learn from your mistakes. I think one of the biggest things I saw tonight, and I've seen before, was that I think in the PSG game, Fred got a red card, and I think Ole, should have known that Fred was on that yellow card, and he should have taken him off straight after that, but he didn't, and obviously then Fred got the red card. But since that point, we've seen that when an important player does get a yellow card and looks like they could potentially be on for a second yellow card, Ole does make that decision to take them off. So that's one example where I think he is kind of learning on the job and learning from his mistakes. And I think that's what you want to see. I mean, he can't help the fact that he's not got that experience. Obviously, he won the Norwegian title with Molde and got relegated with Cardiff. So he's been a manager before, but he hasn't really got that experience at a top club. So he's really having to to learn on the job. And he has shown that he is kind of learning from his mistakes, and hopefully that continues. And as you said, Graham, hopefully he gets back as well in the summer. And if he does, then we could really build on this. I think the last thing we need to do now is just go, oh, well, we've got a decent enough squad anyway. We can just go into next season, maybe one new signing and go again. He really needs to use this opportunity to capitalise and, really just help the likes of Bruno Fernandes and Cavani, who are performing week in, week out for us. But, there's just still a few more missing pieces of that jigsaw. But I'll ask you, Tom, as well. Just ask Graham about how he thought Ole managed the game. Obviously, Ole started with a strong side, brought on Rashford towards the end as well. Made I think 2 or 3 substitutions throughout that game. I think Matic came on. Obviously, 2 subs he made at half time. Overall, how did you see Ole's management of that game? How would you rate it?
Well, really, the tie was over and done with from the first get-go. So we could have gone there with nothing and just said, go out there and do whatever you want, to be honest with you. It really didn't matter. He didn't have to pull off some masterclass to try and break the tie or anything like that. It was just simple. But it's like with last season when it was just one-off knock-off games and knockout games how they did last year, and I didn't really agree with that. Because I think over 2 legs, if you mess up the first leg, then you've got a second bite of the cherry. And Roma did, had that. And obviously they had to go for it. There was no other way. They had to just pretty much try and go all out, but play a little bit conservative. But I think Ole knew what Roma were going to do. When you're 6-2 down in aggregate, I think you know what the opposition are going to at least try and do, and that was going to play out and pretty much try and play into your hands a little. And it did work out to that to some certain extent. But no, I don't think it was. It wasn't the worst performance in the world, to be honest with you. Yeah, it obviously needs to be sharpened up, but half the players who were brought on, from half-time, Williams and Tellers and stuff, they're not going to be playing in the final. I think we've got a rough image of who's going to be in the final and who deserves to play probably in the final, regardless of whether they've played or that they're in form or whatever. On any given day, it's a final. Everybody's going to be up for a final to win a trophy. So, and yeah, it's just a case of keeping a lot of our best players fit for the final. We don't really need anything major to creep up in the next in the final Premier League games. An injury to somebody like Fernandes or something would massively change, the complexion of the whole final and everything.
Oh yeah, 100%. And obviously we spoke about wrapping Cavani up in the cotton wool. I think there's a lot of players there that we need to do that to, and I think especially with this, upcoming fixture jam we've got, where the next kind of 3 fixtures are within 6 or 7 days or something like that. So we've got a lot of fixtures. 8 days, that's it. Yeah, so. Still, it's going to be. We've got to manage that right. The team selection's got to be right, and in-game management as well. So Ole's got a lot to prove in terms of that way. But obviously, as you said, we're not really playing for much in the league anymore. Obviously, we play Leicester, who obviously could overtake us in second place. But I think realistically, even if we were to capitulate a little bit towards the end of the season, I think results elsewhere will probably mean that we will get a spot in the Champions League next season through the league anyway. But obviously you never know. But you'd like to finish the season strong anyway. But I think now we've got that Europa League final to look forward to. I think it'll be all geared.
But you know the funny thing again, Kieran? Do you want to know a funny thing?
Go on.
What team won't be playing in the Champions League next year? Come on, say it, Kieran. What team?
Arsenal Football Club.
Arsenal
Banter Football Club. Oh mate,
there you go.
I don't know what. I mean, you run out of words to describe Arsenal. To be honest, it's one of those things where you think they've hit a new low and then they go even lower. I mean, that.
You'll think Arteta will be out?
Surely,
they'll want him out, but I don't think it'll happen. Not after all that with the Super League.
Do you reckon he'll get another season?
Yeah. I think I don't think he'll get backed in the summer. I think he'll be like Ollie, how Ollie was this summer, where they'll only sign one. Well, they haven't even got the cash to buy Odegaard. They're only selling Ceballos back, and they don't want to buy him.
But I think Arteta was back more than Ole this last season. They bought him Partey, they bought Odegaard on loan,
With Arteta that summer, it was kind of like how Ollie was treated the first year, where he got Maguire, he got Wan-Bissaka.
Exactly, but
it was pretty much similar.
Ole still did something with those players, unlike Arteta. But still, we'll see those debates going that Ole is a PE teacher and shit like that. But yeah, Arsenal, the Arsenal.
As I said, it's just yeah. I mean, it's you run out of words to describe it. As I said, I mean, it's just they are really a mid-table team. It's one of the things where they get bantered for it, but they really are now. No European football next season. And I remember when they were finishing second or finishing the top four every year and complaining about Arsene Wenger, but they're much improved now, of course. Since Wenger's left, they've done so much better. Owen's joining us, thanks for joining. He says, got to give it up to David De Gea today. I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't. Amazing performance. That is a turn up for the books. Owen actually praising De Gea. That really is a collector's item there.
Where's the Henderson shirt? Well,
Exactly.
Literally, but order him a Henderson shirt. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll tell you what, he was loving the fact that Henderson was getting the run of games in the Prem. He was loving that. He also says if Arteta isn't going in the morning, they're not serious. Well, I mean, as I said, as we've talked about, I think they'll want him out. They will want him to go, but obviously, who knows with
the owners have got far too much to have on the plate at the moment, rather than sacking a manager. They're getting all this crap with Daniel Ek and stuff, and wanting to buy the club, and then you get ex-legends are turning pretty much against the ownership. It's only like what Gary Neville's done with Manchester United with the Glazers. He's completely just thrown them under the bus. But they've really got every right to do it, to be honest with you. These are players who have played in the best of these both clubs, and owners have come into football with big ideas and big wage checks, and it's not materialised, and then this is the aftermath. This is the fallout of it all. And I think it's very lucky that COVID. I think they're very lucky that COVID's happened at the moment, to be honest with you, because if fans were in these stadiums, these owners wouldn't have anything to say at all. And they talk about putting prices of £4 billion on football clubs. I've always believed by the motto: a football club can't be bought; it can only be brought up and built. Yeah. That's the way it is. Matt Busby built the club from absolutely nothing. Arsenal was built from nothing to what it was originally, and they're struggling to like you say, even finish mid-table at the moment. I remember when Arsenal people were joking about them getting relegated and stuff at the start of the season, but it was a real possibility at the time, and it was only like Man United. Everybody was panicking, and the sink was shipping when Jose was beating us 6-1. Jose unfortunately didn't have a job by the end when Ollie had his revenge, and he didn't have a job at the end of it all. But people still want to criticise Ollie and stuff. But no, it's ridiculous. Yeah, go on, Graham.
Yeah. Just to go off topic. I just saw this on Twitter right now. It says that I don't know. Tell me what you'll think about it. They're saying Cavani is the most prolific striker in Europe right now. Right now, at this point of time, is he though?
Ooh.
Like, is there any other striker performing like him? I think there could be a argument for him.
Well, City don't have a striker. City don't play a striker. They play false nine.
Exactly.
So there's nobody there.
Chelsea
have Werner. Who? Yeah. Let's be honest.
Yeah. They wish one was Cavani. Yeah. Let's just leave it at that.
I think you can definitely make a strong case for Cavani. I think you can really get a strong case for him. I mean, apart from the obvious, you could say, I think on form. Yeah. I think you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna stick my neck out. Yeah, on form. I'm gonna say on form. Cavani's got to be number one right now. On form. Too bad I reckon the way we're playing right now, Imagine if we were still in the Champions League. Imagine if we got through that group. Imagine where we'd be right now.
Do you want to know the funny thing is, Kieran? I was having a debate with somebody about this, and the funny thing was when you actually think about it, when Leipzig went through, who did they draw? Who did Leipzig draw originally? Liverpool.
Yeah, Liverpool. Yeah.
Yeah, so we wouldn't have had Liverpool. So then you could have had probably somebody easier than Liverpool, and we should have won the group. Let's be honest, we were at the top of the group. Pretty much broke away with 5 points. We should have won that group, if at least finished second. But then you're already into the quarterfinals from that point on. Then suddenly you'd have probably got, I don't know, somebody like a Real Madrid or somebody like that who one game Real Madrid are amazing and the next they're absolutely pants, and then you're already at the semi-final point, and they're not, you've already turned over PSG God knows how many times. And Poch, as soon as he sniffs anywhere near a trophy, he absolutely bottles it. You talk about Ole. Look at Pochettino. As soon as he gets to a trophy, he's like the littlest minute. It could be probably a minute away, and they'll absolutely just capitulate straight away. But it was so funny to see. Honestly, I don't agree with players like Neymar. I know Neymar's like a really good player and everything, but honestly, I just. I pray he never comes to the Premier League, and that's not being disrespectful, but Jesus Christ, he'll probably get away with anything. Like Mike Dean will, probably be halfway up the field, and he'll literally just his boot will fall off, and he'll try and say somebody's kicked him. It's ridiculous though, and that's not football. And it's like people said with that challenge with Son, where Man United got the goal disallowed. Also, Cavani scored that goal as well, just to add a bit of salt into the wounds. But it's like stuff like that. It's not football. Like football's like what Roy Keane and Alpha Haaland had. A couple of that's proper football. Risking it all. Yeah, you get a career-ending injury or something, but that's football. Keane, Vieira, those were the days. Like now you've got literally a tap on the shoulder. Somebody goes down as if they've been shot. It's ridiculous, but
sign of the times. Yeah, I mean, I don't see that situation improving. I'm going to be honest. I reckon we'll see more and more of that. To be honest, but yeah, I mean, I think you're spot on in what you're saying. TTX, thanks for joining us. Well, TTX, hope you're doing well, my friend. Obviously, a massive win. He's loving it. He says we're in the final while Arsenal are back. They are back. They're well, and they never left. Trust me, the circus never left. The circus never left.
But the funny thing is, they wanted to join the Super League.
Exactly.
They wanted to join the Super League.
Mental. They're man Tottenham. It's banter. North London's just banter right now. Owen says Villereal are a good side, but I'd much rather play them than a jammy Arsenal team. There you go. Trans disagrees. He said he actually wants to take Arsenal.
Against Arsenal.
No, we haven't.
We've not got a good record against Arsenal.
Or even Villereal, to be honest, because we've drawn the last four games, so we haven't actually beaten them in ages. He also says the squad is just as spineless as their gaffer. Villereal actually posed a threat against us, and I don't know how Ole acts under situations in a final. Well, at least we're there. The last 5 times we haven't been able to say that. So at least we're in a final. And finally, Owen says, I've opened the bevies, lads. We're on our way to our first trophy since the Harlem Shake. All right, of course. Since 2017.
I think we'll do very well in the final, though. I mean, we've got too many.
I was going to ask, actually. I was going to ask. That was the last question I was going to ask you before we wrapped up. I'll come to you, Graham, first, obviously. In terms of the final, then, obviously Villarreal. It's going to. I think it's going to be an Not Arsenal, of course. We've got to make that clear, very clear. Arsenal are not playing. They won't be playing any competition, not even in the Conference League, not even in this poxy Conference League. They can't even get into that. But do you think, as of right now, obviously your predictions might change if we get injuries, but as we sit right now with the team we've got, with the setup we've got right now, will we win in Gdansk?
I think it will be. We should win it easily with the mentality that we've got. We've got too many winners in our team, winners who can actually make a difference in the team, like Bruno, Cavani, Pogba, and we have to play De Gea for sure. It cannot be Dean Henderson because he's just not ever played a game of that magnitude in his life. So it has to be De Gea. can't take the risk with Henderson. And basically the back four picks itself. Tellers and Williams have to be as far as possible from that, and maybe McFred and Pogba on the left. McFred in the middle and Pogba on the left with Greenwood and Cavani up top, or maybe Rashford and Cavani up top. Yeah, that would be the formation we go with. Yeah, but I think we should just win it easily. I think it should be. Yeah.
Well, I hope so. I hope you're right. I hope we don't have any sort of moments like we did tonight where we're thinking hopefully we're thinking surely not. But yeah, hopefully we get over the line.
Pogba won't be fasting also by then. It'll be Eid by then.
Oh, of course, true. Yeah. And to be fair, he has shown up in European final. In fact, he showed up in the Europa League final last time, and the World Cup.
Exactly.
So he can perform in these big games. And final comment before I come to Tom. TTX says Roma showed more fight today with 6-2 aggregate scoreline than Arsenal, who needed just one goal. That sums it up. Massively. One shot on target. In a game they just needed to win 1-0. They had one shot on target. They had to score.
It's not that I'm laughing at. It's a tweet that I'm laughing at. It's something to do with Arsenal.
Well, I mean, Arsenal just any Arsenal are just. I mean, they're just funny at the moment. But Tom, I'll let you close it. What are your thoughts? Are we gonna win the final?
No, we're gonna bottle it to an Arsenal reject, aren't we? Yeah, we're gonna bottle it to Unai Emery. No. All seriousness, we should win this. The only player who I can name in Villarreal's team is that Gerard Moreno. That's the only person I can name, and Pau Torres.
Raul Albiol.
They're the only two players. You just said another name that I didn't even know, Graham. So.
Raul Albiol has been there in their team for ages now, man.
Well,
he's damn old also. I think he's their defender, if I'm not mistaken.
I
think
he used to play for. I think he used to play for Napoli. I think, but
will it be
Pau Torres's? Will it be Pau Torres's game to do a little bit of an audition for us? Exactly. Exactly. Who knows? But yeah, go on, Tom.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that you'd probably say would fear you isn't probably the Villarreal squad, because I think we've got a better squad than them all round. It's probably just the manager, because he has got the experience of this, And I know obviously Ollie's played in Champions League finals and winning teams and stuff, but playing in it and managing it is completely a different, kettle of fish in total, because playing, you can make an impact while you're on that field. Being on the sideline, you've got to rely on other people to do that for you and listen to you. And I think the players have listened to him enough to trust what he says, and in a way, trust the process of what he's trying to achieve. And winning the trophy at the end of it all would be a massive step in the right direction. And like I said before, it would be an advertisement sale for next summer, to be honest with you, because I think when a lot of players will look at the Champions League final, City and Chelsea, and think, well, one of those two clubs are going to win the big trophy. That's probably where the main audition is going to be. But if you want a backup and second audition, the closest team in the Premier League race right now is Man United. Regardless of Chelsea at the moment, Chelsea have had a good half season with Thomas Tuchel. A lot of teams will start to find out how he kind of operates and works. It's very similar to Pep Guardiola. And in that one season, Guardiola went completely under the radar and didn't win anything major at all. And I remember when City fans wanted him to be sacked. They were calling for him to be sacked, and then he signed the new deal straight afterwards. And you don't hear a peep about it now. And it's the same though with Ole. If he wins the Europa League, I think there will be some sort of a negotiation over extending his contract beyond the current deal at the moment, because you would have to say he does deserve it, because there has been genuine progression, but there has to be more. And I don't say that, I mean, there has to be more. And we got to say the Europa League final, directors, staff, major officials at both clubs are allowed to go there and watch the game from the stands. Are you honestly telling me that any of the Glazer family Ed Woodward might be there because he's going to be out of a job at the end of the year anyway. So he might as well make use of the free tickets. Are you honestly telling me one of the members of the Glazer family is going to be in the stand watching that game?
Yeah, not a chance.
The funny thing is, Kieran, they would rather you put the Super Bowl.
Pigs will fly before that
You put the
happens,
Super
mate.
Bowl in the Glazers' hand, and you put the Champions League, or you put the Champions League and the Premier League together. You put a treble there. They will always choose the Super Bowl because it's their country. It's It's their country sport. Like the main sport.
Their culture.
The main cultural sport in England is football. I'm going down the pub for a pint to watch the football and mates or something like that. That's the cultural side.
Soccer. They're going to watch soccer.
Exactly. They don't even call it the same thing. There you go. They'll probably get lost on the way to Gdansk anyway. They make a wrong U-turn, go straight into United fans.
Oh mate, it's terrible.
Yeah, but just hypothetically saying, like, suppose Ole loses the final, should he go?
We're not losing the final, Graham. I can't have this again. We're not
positive vibes.
We're not bottling another thing.
Yeah, he better not, because I think his head is on the line.
Sign out of social media for a week. You just have all the tweets. AFTV will be quoting everything. United bottle another one. Yeah, I just don't want to think about that right now.
Honestly, I remember a 2-1 in this game after they scored 2 goals and they were like, De Gea the ball was like pinging off the back of De Gea's leg and stuff. I was thinking exactly that. I was thinking, oh my god, if we bottle this, I think Ollie would.
Don't do it, Barcelona. Don't do it, Barcelona.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, I actually think it's a good point that if we do lose this final, I don't think Ollie's going to go, but I think it will. I think a lot of people will lose, faith in it because it's like getting to a final where really we're the favourites. If we don't, finish off the job, it kind of puts in the doubt. And then also you've got the fact that you've got players who might go, well, is this a team that's going to win trophies? But that's obviously for the 26th of May.
Like I say, get to the when we get to the final, and I think if you want to put a spin on it, it'll probably be very much like when we were last in the Europa League final against Ajax. That Ajax team at that particular time is very similar to this Villereal team, really, because Frankie De Jong wasn't known then, Van der Beek wasn't known then. None of these players were really known at that particular point. They're only like a lot of these Villereal players were. Villereal are the modern day. Well, I'd like to say the old school Spanish team. Really, keep the ball and frustrate you. But really, that's playing into Man United's hands because we don't like to keep the ball anyway. Because we don't really like. We're not Pep Guardiola. Like Pep Guardiola comes here, it'll take him a year or two to even implement possession-based football onto this team because we don't have technical players. We have creative and gifted players, like flair players almost, but we don't have technical players who can keep the ball, who just ping it around for fun. We don't have those kind of players. But like you say, go to the final. If we win it, then I think it points more fingers towards Ole being more at the heart of the future of the club, really, than it does. And I think going into this summer, it would have to be something. If he wins it, then no denying he deserves to be backed in the summer to make that real push for challenging for the title, because we've made it closer to City. And we basically bought nobody. We bought a bunch of rejects, according to a lot of people. And when we signed Cavani and we signed a couple of youngsters, nobody knew who they were. And he's even done better than what everybody had probably expected at the start of the season. I know I was expecting Man United probably just finish fourth, maybe nick a trophy, but I wouldn't expect it to be the Europa League. I would have said probably FA Cup or something. But Europa League's even better because it's on the European scale rather than just English scale. And yeah, like I say, it would be a good advertisement for next summer. And but yeah, anybody who thinks about this with the Glazer family, like I've said, don't hold your hat on any one of them being at the final. If any of us own this club, you pump that much money into a football club. Well, in the Glazers' case, they take it out, but you put that money in at the start of it. You make all the process of buying the club. to not even care about it. And like you look at such as, any other club. You look at City, for example. Roman Abramovich, both owners will be at that Champions League final. I will guarantee it. It doesn't matter about prices, restrictions, anything like that. They will bend the rules to get to that final and see it in person. Someone like Sir Alex Ferguson will probably travel to try and go to Gdansk to watch the Man United Europa League final.
Of course.
And I think any law-abiding Man United fan would want to go to that final if it's obviously allowed if we go to Gdansk. So it doesn't really bode well in terms of that aspect of it. But owners and stuff should go to their club's finals. It's ridiculous, but like we say, no statement wants to be made or anything over this European Super League, and it's all crapped out and everything. And it like a lot of people have said, it was pure greed, and it wasn't the Super League. It was the Money League. That's probably a better name for it. It was the Money League. That was where it was going to be.
That Arsenal wanted to be a part of.
Well, they'd get money for it anyway. So but like you say, if the one thing that I would say about the Super League is nobody liked it, but from a financial point of view, getting £3.5 billion in, if the Glazers would have said, right, we'll sign a contract, we'll be in it for 2 years, you'll get £7 billion, pay off your debt that you've already instilled into the club, come out of it, reassess where you are, then you can sell the club. No owner wants to buy a club on debt. Let's be honest with it. Who's going to want to buy Man United with debt? If you did sign a contract for 2 years to be in the Super League, and if you put to your Manchester United fans and said, we'll be in the Super League, we'll be in it for a 2-year contract, so we get £7 billion payout, then we'll pay off the club's debt and sell the club. I think a lot of Manchester United fans would agree to that in principle. But I don't think a lot of fans would want to join the Super League if they could avoid it. But if it's going to pay off the club's debt and get rid of owners that you don't like, it's not really a bad case or argument to really do. But in terms of finances, in a lot of people, a £5 is loose change to some people. Millions of pounds to the Glazers is loose change. They couldn't really care, to be honest with you. And like I said before, there's no price on a football club. It's been built from nothing to then be owned by real estate men, not tycoons. And people want to say about money and stuff and how it ruins football. Football nowadays isn't how it was 20, 30 years ago. 20, 30 years ago, it was scrape off your arse and make do with what you've got from your youth academy. That was really football. That was pure football. None of this where you're blowing hundreds of £1 million in advertisement fees and sponsorships and stuff. But yeah, it's like when we get to the end of the year, Man United fans, I think, are still a little bit deluded in terms of we're not even going to have a chairman. Who Ed Woodward goes at the end of the year. The Glazers aren't exactly lining up a lot of names right now. You're not hearing a lot of talk about who's going to be the new chairman.
No, that's true, yeah.
So
it's interesting to see who takes over that role, actually.
The funny thing was, a lot of people said they wanted Sir Alex Ferguson. I do know something. I didn't actually... when you think about it, really, it doesn't really... How can I put it? It's not really a bad idea, because really Ferguson would only have to oversee the club's... Well, he pretty much did it from the sidelines anyway. He did most of it anyway, off of his own accord. So it wouldn't really be that much of a thing, apart from he's not going to have to run around on a training ground. He's just got to sit in an office, have meetings, talk to UEFA and everything. Pretty much did that when he was the manager anyway. So it wouldn't really be that much of a difference at all. But a lot of people will say Van der Sar and stuff. I can't really see them appointing anybody like such as that. Like Darren Fletcher as a technical director, I think that really summed it up. Where it was more keep it internally, and when you get people like Nicky Butt, who's been at the club for God knows how long in recruitment and stuff, and then it just all goes to crap, and then suddenly he leaves the club off because he didn't get the director of football role. It pretty much sums it up, to be honest with you. You know, wouldn't surprise me if one of the Glazer family came back and said they wanted to be the chairman. They wouldn't even be in England at any of the games. It'd be worse than Ed Woodward. They wouldn't even be
yeah,
here.
of course, yeah.
They'd just run operations out from America, from Palm Beach. That'd be it. They don't care.
But yeah, I mean,
They
no,
won't even
100%.
watch the game tonight. They won't even watch. They won't even watch the game tonight. They'll have done what a lot of people do. Who'll be driving home in the car late at night. They'll come in and they'll watch it. They'll watch highlights on YouTube or something, or on BT Sport. They don't care. Wouldn't even surprise
Probably
me if they
won't
don't
even do
watch
that. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
one of them said, I think Joel Glazer said he didn't even know the offside rules. So there's no, even if he watched the game, he wouldn't understand what's going on. But
And he's
yeah,
and he don't even know what the offside rule is.
that sums up really. That really does sum it up. But I'm going to read the last few comments and we will wrap it up for tonight. TTX says, "Let Sir Alex rest. He's done enough." It's fair. Obviously, you know, he's obviously getting on a little bit. He had the was it the stroke or a heart bypass or something like that? He had hemorrhage, that brain hemorrhage.
Yeah, that was it. That was it.
Yeah. So yeah, he obviously, you know, his health been a little bit in question, but obviously Van der Sar as well is TTX's ideal candidate. But knowing our club, it will promote Richard Arnold. Yeah, I don't want that to happen, to be honest. But obviously that's a debate for a whole different stream. Thank you very much for Tom and for Graham for joining me on tonight's stream. Really do appreciate it. Thanks to everyone who has joined me in the live chat as well to share your thoughts as well. Make sure you hit that like button if you aren't already. Subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. And all I have to say is we'll see you in Gdansk. But until then, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys in a bit. Cheers.